Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Coast to Coast Racing League Catalytic Recovery and Recycling Chris Yacklon Memorial. It is Super Dirt Week charity event time, and it is championship night here, Thursday night. I am Travis Piercefield of Extreme E Speed TV. I am joined, as usual, by Nicholas Vickery. And Nicholas, the week comes to tonight a close here as championship night. We're going to crown a couple champions here tonight.
Yeah, it's been a really great event so far, and we kind of culminate into tonight, and the features are going to be longer tonight. The track's going to wear in more, and these guys are hungry to try to take home that win.
So you look at the laps tonight. We've got 75 in the small block. We've got 100 laps in the big block. Looking at that and how the track wore out throughout the evening on Tuesday night when I joined you, how do you expect that to come into play with so many laps here on this track?
Yeah, I definitely think that the drivers tonight are going to have to show quite a bit more patience. The track's going to be really racy and really tacky in the beginning, but as the night goes on, the track's going to get more slippery and more treacherous. And as you get to the end, the guys start getting a little more impatient and start trying to make moves to the front.
Well, we have an impressive field of cars here tonight, as would be expected. Of course, you have the Coast to Coast Racing regulars, but quite a few drivers that have come from the outside. We'll have 34 starters in each race. And looking through this list of lineups, Nicholas, we've got guys from Kentucky, New York, Canada, of course, New Hampshire, Ohio. The list goes on and on. It really looks like one of those big dirt racing events that you see in the real world of drivers all over the country coming together.
Yeah, Coast to Coast has been putting on these events for quite a few years now, and it really just speaks volumes about that league as a whole. You've got guys from all over the country that come out to support these events, and it always us as fans, it allows us to watch really good racing. And of course, we can't forget what it's all for. We're all here to support Mission 22, and again, I can't speak any more highly of Coast to Coast and Roger for putting on this great event.
A great event it has been, as it is Thursday night, championship night. We've got small block modifieds kicking off the night, 75 laps. That front row will include Ryan Beagle, Brandon Templeton. Then you've got the big blocks to follow, 100 laps. Isaac Salas, Joseph Grandy. Just talking about those two front rows in each of those races, Nicholas. Really no surprise by the names that are starting up front.
Yeah, not at all. I raced in Coast to Coast a few years ago, and I've got countless battles with all four of the guys that you named. So, we're in for a really good show tonight, and yeah, looking forward to the battles.
So we have our drivers here. They're all out on the track prepared to get going here tonight. As we mentioned, we have plenty of drivers from around the country and to the north. Looking at guys that are out here onto the track, you've got the 007. That's Samuel Bachman. We watched him on Tuesday night. He was someone that was definitely moving up. He comes from Brainerd, Minnesota, Expert Insulation Motorsports, Expert Insulation IBP Swan Speed Shop. And he's going to be someone that's going to be looking to move up towards the front. As we look at his starting spot, he'll start 16th in the small blocks, 20th in the big blocks. What's it going to take for him to move up through the field, Nicholas?
Yeah, again, I think it's going to take patience in the early part of the race, because if you end up getting into some trouble in the beginning, your car's not going to be very good at the end if it's got a bunch of damage.
When you have, and you touched on it earlier, when you have so many laps here out on this track, patience, how can that be difficult? If you're someone that's not used to that, can that really come into effect and be a hindrance for you at times?
Absolutely, it can. Everybody that drives cars, we always want to be in the front. We want to be the one leading. So I think it's going to be a little difficult, but without a doubt, somebody will be able to do it tonight.
Out on the track now, you see the 08. That's Cody Graham. He was someone we saw. He was one of those drivers we saw on Tuesday night. He battled in that transfer spot throughout the race, as that transfer spot was definitely the exciting spot on the track to watch throughout that night on Tuesday.
Absolutely, it was. Most of these guys have battled pretty hard all week trying to get into the feature, but they made it. So they're here tonight on championship night and looking to move forward.
So Cody Graham gets moved out there on the track and parked. Cody Graham comes from Liverpool, New York. That's Graham Racing. Fast Eddie's Hot Rods and Monster Energy on that 08 machine. Now out on the track is that 11 machine. That's Kelly Wheeler. Kelly comes from Campbellsville, Kentucky. Murano Racing, DNS Remodeling. Sharp looking car and a lot of you're part of the graphics game, Nicholas. A lot of good looking cars here throughout the week we've seen out on this track.
Yes, absolutely. And, I actually made a comment about that last night. There's quite a few wrap companies that are actually helping sponsor this event. And a lot of those guys have been around for a few years. So definitely, as we get into the broadcast line, I'm sure they'll be mentioned. So definitely, I'll be listening out for those guys.
Also out on the track is that 012 machine. That is Mike Grandy. Mike Grandy comes from Fonda, New York. That's 60 Plus Racing Adventures, West End Towing, Catalytic Recovery and Recycling Corporation, and Electric City Sports Cards. Of course, Catalytic Recovery and Recycling are presenting sponsor this week. A big shout out to them for being the presenting sponsor of this Chris Yacklon Memorial Super Dirt Week charity event. I come from the marketing world, and Nicholas, it is definitely cool to see your brand come to life on a race car. I've seen it for Cool Ray not only on Josh Williams' machine in the NASCAR world, but seeing the logos come to life on iRacing cars is definitely something fun to see, especially for those brands that get involved.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. I think I was actually one of the guys that ran Cool Ray for a long time as well, and it's really cool to support guys like that too.
As that is the 014, that's Greg Boydell out there. He's one of the guys from up north, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We let the dogs out for you, as he is part of Independent Racing Group, and definitely a name we will probably hear throughout the evening. He is a solid part of the Coast to Coast Racing League. As they get lined up on the front stretch here at the dirt track at Charlotte, as you see that 68 machine. That is Aaron Turkey. As he comes from Canada as well, Oswegan, Ontario. Valhalla Mobile, Oswegan Speedway, Glenn Steyer's Racing. See that Oswegan Speedway logo on the quarter panel. Of course, we see that throughout the season here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Someone that we talked about a lot on Tuesday is next. That's the 5 of Isaac Salas. Very successful night on Tuesday night. He comes from North Dakota, Venom Racing Super Dirt Car Series, Top Notch Trucking, RSN Trackside. He will start 5th in the small blocks and on the pole for the big blocks. So you look at him, Nicholas, he not only has a 75-lap race and a 100-lap race, but he's essentially running 175 laps here tonight. What's it going to take to hold up the stamina to complete all those laps?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it in one of the interviews. Less beers. 175 laps is typically longer than a normal coast to coast night. So, you got to kind of pace yourself outside of the car as well, not just on the racetrack. So, he made that comment the other night that he may have to take a bathroom break. So, hopefully he prepared for that before the races start tonight.
Well, one of his Venom Racing teammates is out on the track now from Stanfordville, New York. That's Brian Lawson. He locked himself into this event early on Tuesday night, as he's got Napa Super Dirt Car Series and Magnum Race Design. And another one of those drivers that we hear that name quite a bit here on the Coast to Coast Racing League Network.
Absolutely.
Also out on the track there, coming out of the pits, is that 17 machine. That's Luke Hines. He was fast on Tuesday from Brainerd, Minnesota. Expert Installation Motorsports, Expert Installation IBP Swan Speed Shop. As he looks to take that 17 machine to the front tonight. Hines will start 12th in the small block. As we see cars lined up into the infield. Got the 18 machine, that's Logan Wentz. Logan comes from Nicholson, Pennsylvania. Murano Racing, Hi Mom Lens, Murano Racing, and Super Dirt Car Series on that number 18 machine. Blake Chapman in that 20 machine leaves the pits. He will start 6th in the small block, 14th in the big block. That 20 machine from Clarence, Iowa. Crete Sim Racing, Epsilon Sprint Wraps, Galen's Gourmet Popcorn, of course, and Flatline Racing Bodies. He's someone, especially in that big block, starting 14th, Nicholas. He'll be fun to watch come up through the field.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking that when you start closer to the front and then you start closer to mid pack, you almost have to have two different strategies depending on where you're at in the field. So it'll be interesting to watch him, like you said, come from midfield trying to make a charge to the front.
So he gets parked there on the front stretch. Now exiting the tracks, that 96, Tanner Purcell. Tanner from Pennsylvania as well, Justified Motorsports Mountaineer Racing in Mason Wells. Beautiful blue and yellow machine there. We talked about the difference between the small blocks and the big blocks on Tuesday, Nicholas. When you have 75s in the small block and then you go straight into a 100-lap race with the big block, is there any time that it takes to get reacquainted with that big block?
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to back like that, and after spending so much time in the small block, it can take a few laps or a few minutes, depending on how you want to look at it, to really get acclimated to the additional power that you have. Because when we start this event tonight, the track's going to be really tacky. So luckily the guys will have a few laps to kind of get acclimated because the track won't be really slick. So
Well, there's that 27 machine. That's Sean Green from Haverhill, New Hampshire. Aldridge General Store. Oliverian Auto on that machine. Jeff Sharp now coming out onto the track. Of course, a common name here in the Coast to Coast Racing League in that 28 from East Greenbush, New York. Thunder Ridge Racing, BRP TV, MDR Designs, and Hoosier Racing, of course. Stephen Goldner in that 30 machine. He was really the one that broke open that outside line on Tuesday from Ontario, Canada. Bandybelt Racing, Bandybelt Race Cars, Velocity Race Designs, and Fits Perfect Photography. He really is the one that showed everyone that outside line had some momentum on Tuesday night.
yeah, I think we'll see the story play out tonight. We're gonna have guys, I think, at the beginning of both features trying to run the bottom or the middle, but it's gonna take one brave soul to go up to the top, and then it's fair game for the rest of the field. So it'll be interesting to see who takes that leap of faith first.
As that 31 of Brandon Templeton heads out onto the track now. He's from Corning, Iowa, Hammerdown Racing, Dirt Track Bank, Got Your Six Racing Network, and Extreme Images. He will start outside front row in the small block and then start 7th in that big block.
He's a name that we hear a lot in Coast to Coast as well. I think he's a multi-time champion with Coast to Coast. So it'll be interesting to watch him come up through the field as well.
Also out on the track is that 24 machine of Kyle Moonen. He comes from Lima, Ohio, Bandybelt Velocity Race Design on that machine, as he will start 13th in the small block modified, 26th in that big block. So he is going to be someone towards the back in that big block that's looking to move up.
Absolutely. He's one of those guys that he definitely has to race with caution because you can put yourself in situations in the early part of the race and really hurt yourself for the rest of it if you're not careful.
Ryan Hunsinger out there now in that 52 from Ontario, Canada. Keeps that car clean, which is what he'll look to do tonight. Keep that car clean as he'll start 24th in the small block, 30th in that big block. Gambler Motorsports number 55, that is Steven Spees. He's from Lee's Summit, Missouri, Midwest Turbo and Performance. He will start 4th in the big block. As the 56 of Randy Shreves now enters the track. He's from Springfield, Illinois, LGR Motorsports, Redline Design Company, KSB Builders, ABR Setup Shop. As he will start 14th in the small block and 24th in that big block.
I'm talking about routes. That's a really good looking car there that he has.
'61 of Jacob Massau now entering the track. He's from Weedsport, New York, Massau Racing, Fast Eddie's Hot Rods, Main Street Auto, and Massau Racing. He will
So,
start.
oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. Well, Massau will start 29th in the big block, and let's see here, 25th in that small block.
I was gonna say, I found out last night that I think it's him and his brother. They have a nickname here in Coast to Coast. They go by Moose. So if you hear me say something about Moose, that's Masau's who I'm talking about.
Well, the other half of Moose is there in that 63 machine.
Yeah,
That's
there we go.
Joseph. He lists Cato, New York as his hometown, as he's also got Fast Eddie's Hot Rod and Main Street Auto on that. And a broadcaster's dream, having two cars with very similar numbers and very similar paint design.
And very similar names.
Exactly. I think we just go with Moose for both of them.
Yep, yep. Or the Mooses if they're side by side, right?
Is it Mooses or Moose Eye?
I don't know. I don't know. I missed that class in school.
So he gets parked there on the front stretch as well. As we wait for the next group of cars to come on out. All stretched out here on the front stretch for us. Oh, there was John Hine snuck by. That's on brand for John Hine. John Hine, of course, from Gambler Motorsport. He's got first responders and Gambler on that vehicle tonight. Added some red to the paint scheme, so a little bit different look than the normal white, green, and black he carries. As the 76 of Mark Gilbert now enters the track. From Neob, New York, Venom Racing, RacingCockpits.com, Doobie Energy. And he was someone that had a very fast car on Tuesday. He got out front and was fast throughout those events on Tuesday night, as we saw him in a couple different races. like we have a few more cars out here in the pits, including Randall Dixon, Brennan Lacey, Alex Pomelu, Joseph Grandy, Ryan Beagle in that 84 machine. Ryan comes from Ontario, Canada. Yacklon Insurance, APC Auto Parts, and RK Automotive. And he's someone that got more involved in the Coast to Coast Racing League. I believe it was in the winter season. He was
Yes,
on.
I believe he runs at Ash Weekend. I think he runs a like a pure stock V8. So during racing season, he heavily involved in that. But he definitely makes his appearance, and people notice. He's one of those guys I think that we'll see running near the bottom when the track gets slick. He tends to be pretty quick on the bottom.
In a race like this with so many laps, if you are accustomed to running, a certain lane, can that be an advantage or a disadvantage throughout the night of a long race?
So I think it can really be both because if you're one lane dominant and you're kind of struggling the other lane, you may have guys that you feel like you're faster than in front of you running your lane, but it can work in your favor as well because if you're really fast in a lane that's not dominant when it's tacky but is dominant when it's slick, you can kind of get that advantage there at the end.
As Jonathan Krupa goes out on the track, that's the 98 machine. He's from Houston, Texas, Graham Racing. Got Coast to Coast Racing League there on the nose. Now entering the track is that 79 machine. That's Dean Reynolds. North Syracuse, New York, Full Throttle Motorsports, Super Dirt Car Series, Swan Speed Shop, and Mission 22. Of course, a big supporter of the league and a big helper throughout this charity event with help getting the format set up, just like the real world. Super Dirt Week. Also a voice you hear on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Randall Dixon gets parked there. He's in the 111 from Petersburg, Virginia. Murano Racing, Vital Motorsports, A&J Landscaping, Vital Motorsports, and Too Old for Faza. Terry Landis out on the track as well. In that 161 machine. He's from Desert Hot Springs, California, KSR, Crates Oval Track Parts, Galen's Homegrown Popcorn, Epsilon Sprint Wraps. Jeffrey Kemper also out there on the track. He's from Gambler Motorsports as well, Lebanon, Oregon. Young Gun Creations, Cool Ray Heating and Cooling, Lynn Gear Company. Gambler Motorsports well represented here tonight, Nicholas.
It's always a good feeling when the majority of your team makes or I guess qualifies for the main event. You get a lot of airtime and they can really represent for your team.
Is now the 218 of Kurt Schatzer from Edders, Pennsylvania, Hammerdown Racing. Schatzer Roofing got your 6 Racing Network and Dirt Track Bank on that 218 machine. Schatzer will start 4th in the small blocks and back in 22nd for the big blocks. as Alex Pomeloy is the next driver in that 397. He's from Granby, Quebec, Canada. Alex Tom Racing, ATR Apex Designs. Of course, that 397, a common sight here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Is now coming out on to the track. Looks like it's going to be Brendan Lacey, that 414 machine. He's from Bixby, Oklahoma. Vanderbilt Racing, Velocity Race Designs, Vanderbilt Race Cars, Moonin Race Engines. He was somebody that we had a lot of fun watching on Tuesday night make his way up through the field using the high side, inside, really whatever was open for him. Which, thinking of that tonight, that could come into play, having a versatile car that can move from that outside line to that inside line and handle well, Nicholas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to keep bringing it up, but if you damage your car early, it might not work in one of those lanes. So again, I think the focus of the night is keep your car clean throughout the race because it's a long one.
Long one indeed, as we see that 513 of Jeff Barker getting prepared to come on out. Also pulling into the spot on the front stretch here, the 461, that is Marshall Dugan. Marshall comes from Delaware. Dugan Motorsports broker Post Landscaping. Of course, a special ride along with him tonight. He'll be starting 34th in the 358. He'd like to give a shout out to Corporal Keith Hecox and his family. He was a Del Mar police officer and killed in the line of duty last year in a brutal attack. So giving a shout out and acknowledgement to Corporal Keith Hecox and family here tonight. As of course, first responders and veterans, a huge part of this charity event and what this league is all about, Nicholas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned it before, but Coast to Coast does a really good job raising money for Mission 22 specifically. I think this is the third or fourth partnership they've had together, and the events just keep getting bigger and better.
The 518 out there, that's Joseph Grandy. Of course, he is from Dunesburg, New York. Training Wheels Racing, Catalytic Recovery, West End Towing and Repair. As Tanner Purcell moves back out onto the track in his spot. Jeff Barker was also out on the track. Jeff Barker comes from Bruton, New York. Malcolm Mills Millwrighting, Young Guns Creations, and Bosco the Cat. As you see, lined up here on the front stretch, the cars that are set to take on both races here tonight. 75 laps for our small block modified. 100 laps for our big blocks as they get out on the track. And Nicholas, this is going to be a fun night as our Super Dirt Week charity event, the Chris Yacklon Memorial presented by Catalytic Recovery and Recycling, is about to get underway. and getting this thing started, Nicholas. You can already feel it. It's going to be a good night of racing.
Yeah, I'm over here getting excited. I hope our viewers and the sponsors and everybody watching can feel the excitement in the air as we get ready to kick this event off.
There's just something about that special event feel with drivers from all over, all different leagues, all out on the track getting ready to go. And the big prize tonight, a win in the Chris Yacklon Memorial. So looking at that small block modified coming up next, Ryan Beagle, Brandon Templeton, Brian Lawson, Kurt Schatzer will be your starting four up front as we get ready to go racing here at the dirt track at Charlotte. And with that, Nicholas, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have that small block modified feature event, 75 laps here at the dirt track at Charlotte. We appreciate you tuning in here to the Coast to Coast Racing League. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got racing here on the track in Charlotte.
I am Sergeant Clay Warren. I suffer from PTSD. In 2013, I ended my own life. Now my voice has been brought back to speak to people like me. Know that you're not the only one. Things can get better. You don't have to carry that burden anymore. Speak up now to get the help that you need.
22 veterans end their lives every day. You just heard the reconstructed voice of one of them. Seek help at mission22.com.
Yes, that's why. So we'll just give them a quick brush and then we'll get our stuff on, and then we have like an obstacle course. And so
why I'm smiling.
You don't know why you're smiling. We always smile. Smiling's the best.
The Mission 22 Equine Program is a riding program for children of veterans. We also serve grandchildren or direct family members of veterans.
It's a lot of fun, and I've always loved horses.
We have private lessons and group lessons, but it's not just riding. You know, riding lessons, people just think that that's all it is. But we have the opportunity here to really build confidence, to lower stress levels, to give them an outlet and opportunity to spend time doing something healthy and productive. Mission 22 is really based on the foundation of the importance for family. It's why we're supporting families here. So in a time where kids' programs are being canceled left and right, school is shut down, they're not able to be around their friends, you know, being able to have an opportunity where they can just be together and let go of that stress and be around people. Again, honestly, it's just really that simple, being around people. You know, who would have thought that it was something as simple as that?
Okay, you want to grab his reins, and then I'll have you walk him forward.
It's really a special thing to watch these kids come every week and build a partnership and a relationship with their horse. It lets them forget about everything that's going on in life, being able to come here, kind of shut the world out a little bit, and have a really stress-free, fun environment.
There's tons of studies that have been done on lowering of cortisol levels of children, and especially with children of veterans, often growing up in a household that can be a more stressful place, to be able to have an outlet where they can be outside, fresh air, horses around them, and just growing in that confidence.
Horses are really unique. They're very intuitive to people. They're very emotionally intelligent. They're very emotional animals, very in tune to people. They have a great way of reading people as well. They can pick up on if you're feeling nervous or scared or excited. They're very reflective to how you feel. And so it's a great way to kind of check in with yourself and see how you're feeling, because they'll let you know.
When you're riding bareback, it's really important to think about keeping your thighs nice and snug.
Watch your spacing. Remember 1 to 2 horse lengths in between. Nice work. Yep, then you're going to go through the blue barrels, and you can weave through them, and you can walk through them.
Before we came to Central Oregon, we were based out of Portland. So we were renting an office in the city, we were having to pay to board horses, and it was getting to be exceptionally expensive. And so what it came down to was an opportunity to have a facility that we could grow programs out, that we could have the equine program on our own property that we can continue to operate during a time that nobody really knew kind of what was happening next. And so having our own facility gave us the freedom to continue serving the families that we care about.
It's so fun to see parents come and talk to each other, and being able to kind of share stories, watch their kids together is a really neat thing, talk about just life in general, having a place to come and to really connect with people.
Obstacles. I really like riding the horse because it's the best thing ever, and it's so exciting.
By supporting families of veterans on this property through the equine program, it really gives us the opportunity to show that importance. So we're not just supporting their kids, but we're supporting their families. They're having a community here, and building that strong family foundation builds a strong veteran. And that is something that we very much believe in, is supporting the family, supporting the veteran, and that cohesiveness together.
History repeats itself. History is always happening over and over again. So one of the ways to stop a theme, one of the ways to stop something from reoccurring is to first of all admit it. It didn't take long for us to quickly realize that there was power behind Mission 22, power behind its brand, power behind its message, and power behind its people that represented it.
All right, my friends, day 19 of 22, the 22-day push-up challenge. Day 19 means 418 men and women have possibly committed suicide in the last 19 days. I went and looked up my ship, the USS Rushmore. More people who have killed themselves by now than ever served on our ship at one time in just 19 days.
19, 20, 21.
Welcome back to the dirt track at Charlotte. It is Super Dirt Week charity event. It is the Chris Yacklon Memorial presented by Catalytic Recovery and Recycling. We have the small block modifieds here on the track, Nicholas, and you have a track update here as we get racing ready.
Yeah, the track crew actually stepped up here in the booth and let us know that the starting percentage for the track tonight is going to be 10% in the 358s and 0% in the big blocks. So, anything that these guys that are running both races learn in the 358, they may not actually be able to carry over to the big block.
So another level of difficulty added to the evening, besides just switching from that small block to the big block. We'll throw one more curveball at you and change up the track, which on Tuesday night when I joined you, it was real interesting to see what that track would do during 20 laps. Here, this small block modified event's going to have 75 laps.
Yeah, and almost 3 times the cars as well. So that's something else you got to think about too. Is when they raced, some of these guys, this is the first time they've been on track since Tuesday night. So the track's going to be quite a bit different. So hopefully a lot of these guys were turning in some practice laps on different track states.
So looking, we've got a 34-car field here. Obviously, Ryan Beagle, Brandon Templeton, Brian Lawson, Kurt Schatzer, your front 2 rows, starting up front and nice. If you're G.J. Boydell, Steven Spees, Kelly Wheeler, back there in the 20s, what's going to be the strategy, and how do you get up to the front here during the course of this 75-lap race?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be finding lines that are fast where other guys aren't running, right? Because if we end up seeing like a train of cars, obviously you can't work your way through the pack like that. So really being flexible enough to explore other lanes that may not be used yet, trying to find the fast lane before the guys in front of you, and then also being really conscious of where the car is on the racetrack, because you're trying to make your way through the field, but you also don't want to have any unnecessary contact earlier in the middle stages of the race. So I think racing with patience, not being afraid to try different lines, trying to find fast ways through the field, and really just staying out of trouble, I think are going to be the keys to the guys from the back trying to work their way to the front.
So we watch them out here on the track as we get ready to go. Plenty of action set here for tonight as we watch G.J. Boydell out there, and we should be moving closer and closer to that starting lineup here for that small block modified. Any names jump out to you here, Nicholas, that should be contenders throughout the night?
Yeah, I couldn't mention this racetrack and this event without mentioning Isaac Salas. I think last year I think he barely missed out on the win on the 358, and then I think he ended up winning the big block, if I remember correctly, or at least the last time that I raced in this event. So you definitely can't count him out. And then you mentioned a couple of guys on the front row: Ryan Beagle, Stephen Goldner. I mean, you've just got a ton of guys that are in this that I have experience racing with, and it's going to be a great event.
Great event indeed. As we are getting ready to go here, you see Ryan Hunsinger out there on the track. He will start 24th. Randall Dixon out there as well. We saw it Tuesday night, especially those 20-lap heat races. We had some that had a few cautions in them. Others really got stretched out and gave space around the track. Got some green flag laps. How do you see this one playing out?
I think we'll see a decent green flag run here at the beginning. Like I said, 75 laps and 100 laps. It's a lot of laps in these cars. So I think everybody's going to be a little timid and a little shy in the beginning of the race. And I think as the race goes on, we'll see some more aggressive moves. But I'm hoping for a really long green flag run. I expect one or two cautions, maybe 15, 20, 30 laps in. Guys trying to find where they want to be at on the racetrack. And hopefully, the old curse of cautions breed cautions doesn't ring true tonight, because at this track, the racing is always great. And if you have a long green flag run, you get to see these guys get into a rhythm, and it's actually, it's really awesome to watch.
So as we watch the laps, few guys still out there as well. Boydell out there, Ryan Beagle, Mark Gilbert, Joseph Grandy. And looking at those best times here during the session, names aren't going to surprise you, Nicholas. It's Templeton, Salas, Reynolds, Pomeloy, your four fastest here in this warm-up.
Yep, no surprise there. Those guys have a lot of laps at this racetrack and a lot of laps with coast to coast, so not at all surprised to see those names at the top of the board for practice.
So seeing them wrap up here, of course we've got our small block modified coming up next, that final 75 laps, and then we'll switch over to the big block immediately after 100 laps there. As we count down to the green flag here for the small block modified. And you can see them working from top to bottom around the track. It's something we should see all night long. So with 34 cars, 75 laps, we should see some traffic here tonight for the leaders. How could that play into both the lead and battles throughout the track?
Yeah, that's something that I think in the longer events, I think that a lot of the guys that run in this event, they've experienced lap traffic before, and I think that it's really just a matter of how fast you can make it through that traffic and how clean you can make it through that traffic, because you may be faster than the guys, but if you make contact and damage your car, it's not going to do you any good. So hopefully with the long green flag run, if they can stretch out, we should see some good battles in traffic.
Well, the good battles will start right here from the beginning. Front row, it's going to be Ryan Beagle alongside Brandon Templeton. Row number 2, Brian Lawson alongside the 218 of Kurt Schatzer. Starting 5th is Isaac Salas next to Blake Chapman. Starting 7th, Joseph Grandy alongside Mark Gilbert. And rounding out your top 10, it's Brennan Lacey alongside the Dean Reynolds machine. Starting 11th, Jeff Barker next to Luke Hines. 13th, Kyle Moonen next to Randy Shreves. 15th, Stephen Goldner. 16th, Samuel Bachman. Starting 17th, it's Jeffrey Kemper next to Jeff Sharp. And rounding out your top 20, it's Joseph Massau and Alex Pomeloy. 21st, Cody Graham next to Tanner Purcell. 23rd, Ryan Hunsinger and the other half to Moose, Jacob Massau. Starting 25th, Steven Spies of Gambler Motorsports next to GJ Boydell. Harold Klump alongside Kelly Wheeler. And rounding out the first 30, it's Randall Dixon next to Bob DeGood. Starting 31st, it's Aaron Turkey next to Marshall Dugan. And starting 33rd will be Mike Grandy. So a full car packed field here to get us started. 75 laps here for the small block modified, Nicholas. Any last words before we go green?
Good luck. I think we're going to see a battle here in the 358s. You know, these cars are really, really known for having to keep your momentum up. So I think it's going to be a battle of who can keep their cars the straightest.
Well, we always talk about how important it is to keep the cars straight here with the small blocks. And we're going to get it started here quick with side-by-side action as we work their way around. That Stephen King Foundation pace truck moves off into the infield. And it's going to be Ryan Beagle and Brandon Templeton leading us to green here at Charlotte. As Super Dirt Week, the Chris Yacklon Memorial Catalytic Recovery and Recycling small block modified feature is green at Charlotte. 2x2 down the front stretch. They'll head off into turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, side by side all throughout the field, you know, and I think these guys are trying to settle in here first lap, try and get their jitters out, try and find a rhythm.
So through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, clean for 1 lap down as that side-by-side battle continues up front. It's going to be Beagle with the advantage down the back stretch. Templeton to his outside. Battles throughout the field, really starting from that 4th position on.
You know, the top three have kind of separated themselves just a little bit, but like you said, Ryan Beagle and Brandon Templeton are running side by side. Templeton running the higher line, and of course Beagle running the middle there. But if they battle too hard, Schatzer could catch up to him.
So our first caution comes out. It looks like Steven Spies, Alex Pomalu, and Harold Klump involved. So we got 2 laps complete there of our 75. It's Brandon Templeton being scored first. So we go green, Nicholas. A caution pretty early in this one. If you're trying to reset here, what's going through your mind? What are you trying to do as we get set to go back to green?
Yeah, you know, I think if I'm in the race car with, I think, 2 or 3 laps down, you know, I'm definitely trying to kind of clear the bugs and just stay calm. You know, there's still a lot of laps left. So, and that's something else you got to think about too. Some guys may have lost a few positions here, but they can't get worked up. They have to remain calm because with this many laps left, you still have a lot of time to work.
So Templeton will take over the lead from Beagle. Schatzer third. Quick movers, Randy Shreves got up 3 spots. He's just outside the top 10. He currently sits in that 11th position as he'll look to continue his charge towards the top 10. Good start for him as Brandon Templeton was able to overtake Ryan Beagle for the lead. Lots of movement down there in 20th on back. As we had that battle for the lead, we didn't get back to those battles, but I'm sure they will continue throughout the evening. So we'll get line back up, double file restart here, Nicholas. And we're about to get back to racing action.
Yep, you know, it'll be really interesting to see because Brandon Templeton was on the outside last time and Ryan Beagle was on the inside. So now they've switched spots on the front row. So we'll have to see how they carry it into turn 1.
And see it we will as the green flag waves. Templeton to the inside. He'll have the advantage, able to move up if he wants, but he'll stay down to the inside. You've got Ryan Beagle leading that outside charge as Schatzer will slide up on the exit of turn number 2.
Yeah, definitely Schatzer was able to capitalize there. And I believe him and Templeton are also teammates. So that's something else you got to look at too. Is he going to try to play blocker there for Brandon Templeton?
So very quickly that battle heats up from second on back as Schatzer's there, Beagle behind him. But you have some hungry drivers from 4th on back, including Salas, Chapman, and Grandy, as they look to continue their charge to the front.
Yeah, you know, and I think we're getting into that stage now where guys are starting to look for other lines because you can't just follow the guy around if you want to make moves forward.
Plenty of racing action. You look back here, starting with Gilbert in that 6th spot. Side-by-side action throughout, really to the back of the field from here on back. And tight racing quarters here at Charlotte early as we work lap number 10.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see them running the very bottom and running the very top, and then when they come to the straightaway, they're still being really respectful of each other and leaving each other room, so that's always really good to see at this stage.
Schatzer uses that inside line. He's able to get in front of Templeton down the backstretch, Templeton tries to battle back through 3 and 4, as now Ryan Beagle looks to the inside of Templeton for second.
Yep, it looks like Templeton is going to be married to that high side, trying to make it work. But, the bottom is very, very strong still.
So you can see that middle line, which was talked about on Tuesday night, Nicholas, already starting to form. And really no man's land as you move into that middle line. You've got that road to the inside and that road to the outside here early.
Yep, and it looks like Ryan Beagle is making up ground on Templeton there, but Templeton and Salas are both sticking by that high side.
So Beagle continues to chip away. He's got Blake Chapman behind him. It's Templeton and Salas to the outside, as Salas will make it 3 wide going into 3. He'll make the pass on Chapman. Now to the inside of Templeton he goes.
Yep, I think he recognized maybe the bottom line was pulling away just a little bit, so it looks like he has cleared Templeton now on the backstretch.
Well, we saw that with Lacey on Tuesday night, being able to use that outside line but then dive to the inside if needed. If your car is able to move around tonight, especially for 75 laps, what kind of advantage does that give you?
Yeah, it gives you a lot of confidence too, because if you feel like your car's fast everywhere, you're going to typically be more comfortable in whatever line you're running because you know what your car's going to do.
Chaos in the back, cars all over from top to bottom, continue to race. You see Hunsinger there in the middle as Lacey over to your left tries to make a move on the 518 of Grandy. And now it's a pass for the lead as Isaac Salas has moved into the first spot with Schatzer behind him.
Yeah, he didn't waste any time trying to clear those guys on the top, so I think he may have found something in 1 and 2, and then he uses kind of that middle slider line in 3 and 4.
So Salas will set out front. His car was fast on Tuesday, and if he's able to get up front here, it'll be interesting to see if he can extend the lead that he's already put on them. It's about 7/10 here early as they continue to battle with Schatzer, Beagle, and Templeton for second.
As he creates space there between second and third, he's also closing in on the back of the field. I think we're still a few laps away from lap traffic, but if this pace continues, they will definitely hit it.
You can see Templeton all over the back of Schatzer there as the front 6 start to separate, some side-by-side action, but at least some space between them. You go back to 8th on back, that's where things get tight as you see Brendan Lacey trying to hold off Shreves and Grandy while chasing down Brian Lawson in 7th.
Yep, I think a lot of the guys are starting to move up to the top of the track, and I think that'll last for probably 20 or 30 laps, and then the top will be pretty burnt out, so we'll see guys starting to search around again.
Watching Lawson lead that chain as Isaac Salas now has about a second lead over the second place group of cars. See Shreves, Barker, and the 007 of Bachman to the inside. Then your next group of cars there led by Bachman and Kemper as they're 3 wide. Great racing action to watch throughout this short track here at Charlotte.
Yeah, it says a lot about these guys being able to run 3 wide on this track. It gets really, really tight on the straightaways, but you don't see a whole lot of contact between them.
So up front, the battle for second still continues to be Schatzer, Templeton, and Beagle as Isaac Salas has started to check out, Nicholas. He's up by over a second and a half now.
Yeah, part of me wonders if maybe Schatzer and Templeton are just kind of letting the laps burn down a little bit and let Salas run the top end, and maybe they hope for a caution to reel him back in, because it only takes one caution and the whole lead that he's built in these last couple laps goes away.
As you see, that tail end of the field is about a straightaway away from Isaac Salas as we ride along with him. Is there any disadvantage to Isaac out front stretching out that lead?
I think there is a little bit because, you get in your groove and your rhythm and you're fast, and then if a caution comes out, you really don't know where the fast line is because you don't have anybody around you that's running the same pace that you are. So, it's really easy to get yourself in trouble and lose the lead.
As we watch that battle, Templeton slides up on the exit of turn number 2. That opens the door to the inside for Beagle as Blake Chapman continues to watch on Schatzer and Gilbert. Really your top 6 holding par as they've separated from Lacey in 7th.
Yeah, you see guys running the top there. It looks like Templeton got a really good exit off of turn 2 that time on Ryan Beagle.
And really, you've got those 3 to the outside. Blake Chapman, and we've seen this throughout the Coast to Coast Racing League season, sticking to that inside, really waiting for it to come in. And like you said, that preferred line is going to shift around here throughout the night as we work lap number 30 of 75.
If you watch the guys going into 1 and 2, it looks like the top's getting really, really thin. I'm starting to see a few guys start to hit the wall a little bit, and if you're not careful, that can damage the car.
Looking back through the field, Ryan Hunsinger up to that 11th spot. He started 23rd. He's battling with Tanner Purcell. Purcell started 22nd as he now battles just outside the top 10. A couple fast cars there that have moved up. The other hard charger we've got is Kelly Wheeler. He's up to 20th after starting 28th.
This passing a lot of cars there, and it really goes to say you got to find a fast line around the other guys if you're going to try to progress forward.
So we've reached lap 33 here, Nicholas. If you started towards the back and you haven't necessarily moved up, when do you start to get concerned that you're running out of time to make it up into a top 5, top 10 position?
Yeah, I think somewhere around lap 40, 45, maybe 50, because then you start getting into like the normal feature lengths, and after racing every night, kind of what you can do in that amount of time. So, I would say around lap 50, you should see guys starting to be a little bit more desperate, trying to make moves.
As up front, it's still Isaac Salas. His lead now stretched out to 3 seconds, but he's coming up to that tail end of the field, and he will have lap traffic as he enters turn number 3. By the entrance of turn number 1, he'll be around other cars for the first time in a while.
Yeah, it looks like they're battling side by side, so he's got to try to find a way around them without getting himself into any trouble. It looks like he's able to do that around the first 2.
So he clears the first 2 cars to go a lap down here at this juncture. As 37 laps down, working lap 38, Isaac Salas is dominating here early. Brandon Templeton, Ryan Beagle, Kurt Schatzer, your top 4. And the caution flag waves.
And all that work that Salas had, about half a track, a good straightaway, it's all gone. They're all bunched back up. He's got to do it all over again.
So we've made it to this point. What any drivers sticking out to you that maybe have a chance at battling that 5 machine of Isaac Salas for a victory?
So I can't see the position counter, but I did see that Goldner was making his way through a bunch of cars. I'm not sure where he started and where he is currently, but he appeared to be pretty fast when I saw him flash across the screen.
As we'll take a quick look at that replay, it was up there amongst the leaders. It was Ryan Beagle and Brandon Templeton that got together. It looked like Templeton got into the wall, maybe slowed down just enough for Beagle to get into the rear of him. And as you said, Goldner, he is one of the movers as he is up to the 9th spot after starting 15th.
And that caution there really shakes up the top 5. It takes out 2 of the top 5 drivers.
So they continue to make their way around. We'll get lined up here to go. A good chunk, a good green flag run. As we get set to go green here, Nicholas, when you have a long green flag run like that, you're getting into that normal feature length territory. How do you reset and how do you try to adjust here for this final run?
Yeah, the way the track is burning right now, it's definitely a lot different than the last time they restarted. So you got to get yourself back in the rhythm and start hitting your marks again.
Plenty of racing action throughout. Brennan Lacey was 4 wide at one point. They'll sort that out as now it's just 3 wide in front of him. That lead has evaporated for Isaac Salas. It was up over 3 seconds, but he's quick to jump out to a half a second lead as Blake Chapman and Schatzer now battle for that 2nd spot.
Yeah, and it looks like they're changing lines on each end of the track. It looks like Schatzer's throwing a slider in 3 and 4, but he's running the high side behind Isaac Salas there in 1 and 2.
Mark Gilbert now enters that picture for second on back, as he'll try to make it 3 wide with Chapman and Schatzer. Isaac Salas appears to be on rails here again as we've gone back to green. And it looks like a lot of cars quick to jump back out into that outside line, Nicholas.
Yeah, I definitely think it's if you can run it right now, I definitely think it's the one of the faster lines around the track. Oh, a big pile up there in the middle of the field.
Big pile up there in turn number 2. Kemper, Grandy, Moonen, Reynolds, Goldner, one of the drivers you talked about, all involved. Well, we'll line it back up. So we have that long green flag run, then we get another handful of laps in, and then the caution. You've got to think here, with less than 30 laps to go, that intensity is going to start to just turn up and not stop until that checkered flag waves.
Absolutely, and I don't know if the guys on the track have noticed yet, but the caution laps are counting. So the more laps that they run under caution, the less laps they have to try to make up some ground.
And not only do the caution laps count, but there is also lucky dogs involved. So
that's really nice to see too, because if you got caught into an incident in the beginning of the race, your night under normal circumstances may have been over, but having the lucky dog turned on gives you a chance to get your lap back. So the guys that Isaac lapped earlier in the race, they can actually get back on the lead lap and continue fighting for positions.
Which it looks like Harold Klump is going to be our lucky dog this time, so that will put 29 cars onto the lead lap. And Harold Klump it is. You see him making his way around. So Isaac Salas continues to lead. We'll go back to green here shortly, as he has really been the class of the field out front. Schatzer Chapman's been battling. And now we've got Tanner Purcell. He's in 4th. He started 22nd, Nicholas.
He's got to be the big mover of the race so far.
He currently leads that up 18 spots. Joseph Massau in 6th as we go back to green flag racing action. Massau in 6th, so half of the Moose tandem moving up as well. Alex Pomelu into the top 10 as well. He's up a dozen spots. But at this point, everyone's chasing that 5 machine of Isaac Salas, including Schatzer, who had a great restart there. He's got Salas within reach.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if maybe he's found something a little bit different in 3 and 4 there. You see him running a different line than Isaac. So if he's able to make up some ground there, it makes me wonder if Isaac may change his line, and he does.
Adjust that he will, as he's able to neutralize that threat for now from Schatzer. And now we're down to 25 laps to go here in the small block, as Isaac Salas, not the entry he probably wanted there for turn number 3. That opens the door for Schatzer to gain some ground.
Yeah, Schatzer made up a lot of ground there in 3 and 4, and I think it's a matter of who can get through 1 and 2 easier and faster, and then in 3 and 4, who just picks the best line, because they're both changing their lines, trying to find a faster way through there.
So the racing action stretched out front. You go back to Massau in 6th, and that's when it gets tight. Pomelu, Beagle, Gilbert, Bachman, all back there battling for position, and really all within the top 10, trying to have a chance to move up there and battle for a victory.
Yeah, they're 3 and 4 wide in the corner, and all of them running different lines. It's pretty crazy to see.
You see Beagle still using that outside line. Oh, and around goes. That's Purcell. His great night will have a speed bump, as he will drop. He went around in turn number 3. And we will take a look at what happened with that. So this is Hines as he comes up on Purcell, who just got into that wall there. Down the backstretch. It was before that opening, an interesting spot. We'll see if we can see what exactly happened there. Oh, and he kind of rode up the wall there in the backstretch.
Yeah, with these open wheel cars in the front, if you catch that wall will suck you in, and there's nothing you can do to pull yourself off of it. So, really unfortunate event there for him.
So that'll reset us. 20 laps to go. That means 80 down. And now with less than 20 laps to go, we're basically a heat race from Tuesday. At what position does that person maybe got to go now if they want to have a chance at Isaac Salas?
Yeah, I think it's within the next few laps. People need to start making moves if they want a chance to win this one.
So they will get lined up, ready to go. Green flag will wave. Isaac Salas takes us back to green. We're back to racing action. 18 laps to go here in the small block modified feature event.
Yeah, it looks like they're side by side there for P2 and P3.
That's Blake Chapman and Kurt Schatzer. They continue to battle for second. Lacey now up there. He's made his way into the top 5. Behind them is Alex Pomelu. He's up 15 spots. Now he's our hard charger as he's made his way into the top 5. Lacey all over the back of Schatzer on the exit of the corner. And there's more and more contact with the outside wall in both ends of the track.
Yeah, it's getting really, really thin up there, and if you don't hit it just right, you will get into the wall, and it'll definitely slow you down quite a bit. Looks like Lacey's going to have a good run coming off turn 4 here.
As Schatzer gets into that wall, that'll close up Lacey right onto his bumper. Pomelu actually gains some ground too. As you see, Isaac Salas out front, Chapman second, Schatzer, Lacey, and Pomelu make up your top 5.
Yeah, it looks like the leader and the second place car have both gone to the bottom on both ends of the track. Let's see if they carry that into turn 3. They will. They're both running the bottom now.
And it is go time with only 13 laps to go here at Charlotte. And Blake Chapman is now putting on the full court press, trying to track down Isaac Salas in the 5.
Yeah, he is not giving him any breathing room. It looks like Chapman is getting a better run coming off turn 4 on the bottom. There's still a lot of grip there as you come onto the straightaway, and it looks like he's using it to its full advantage here.
In turns 1 and 2, Schatzer and Lacey got together. That'll give third to Lacey as now Schatzer tries to rebound, and he's got Pomelu all over the back of him as we continue to watch Chapman chase down the leader. 11 laps to go.
Yep, almost 10 to go, so if you're going to make moves, now is definitely the time to do it. It looks like the majority of the field in the top 5, top 10 are single file.
As the front 2 have broken away, 10 laps to go. Chapman continues to try that inside line through 1 and 2. As Salas moves around in 3 and 4, trying to hold on to his lead.
Yeah, it looks like they're just searching for moisture in the racetrack, just trying to get a good run and not spin the tires coming off the corner.
As that leads down to 0.3 of a second, it'll stretch to a half a second at the end of the backstretch. While they continue to battle there, that third place battle now has 3 cars. Lacey into the wall, Pomelu to the inside. Pomelu will think the better of it, led off as they regroup, but now Bachman and Beagle have joined the 5-car battle for third.
Yeah, these guys are definitely racing really, really hard for the last step of the podium here, and they're having to race all around each other as they're carrying different momentums coming off the corner.
So Salas continues to lead out front as Lacey sits in the 3rd spot. Schatzer looks to his inside. Beagle, Bachman, Pomelu all behind. That's Gilbert watching from the 8th spot as now Schatzer takes over the 3rd spot.
And it looks like Lacey's going to throw the slider again. Yes, he lifted and left him room up at the top. Thought
the better of it as they now regroup through 3 and 4. 3 to the outside, 3 to the inside as they drag race to the line. 5 laps to go.
I don't even know what to say. It's really good racing here for the last step on the podium.
Well, we're going to regroup. That's what we're going to do as our 5th caution flag comes out.
This really shakes things up here.
And I'm not seeing the cause of the caution. So 5 to go. We're going to stack them up. We should have a green-white checkered by the time we go back green. All right, green-white checkered, Nicholas. How's this one going to play out?
Yeah, I think if I'm Chapman, my focus needs to be getting the best restart I can. Green-white checkers, typically the leader gets a really, really good jump on the field. And, if Chapman wants to have any possibility at stealing this win away from Isaac Salas, he's definitely going to have to get a good start. Outside of that, really just picking the right lines and hitting your marks in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and just kind of holding on and hoping that the guy behind you didn't choose a better line.
So as we get ready to go to green here, we have a list of door prizes and winners that will be mentioned in red before that big block modified final coming up next. So we will have some exciting giveaways coming here shortly before the big block modified feature event and championship race. As our Catalytic Recovery and Recycle Chris Yacklon Memorial Super Dirt Week charity event marches on. The small block modified has been exciting for sure as we have a green-white checkered to decide the winner. Salas, Chapman, Schatzer, your front three through 3 and 4. Green flag waves. It's Salas leading us back to green.
Yeah, and he got a really good jump there, about 3 or 4 cars. So let's see what Chapman can do on the bottom here in coming out of turn 2.
So, yeah, Chapman to the inside. Schatzer will move to the outside. Lacey to the inside. Beagle to the outside. As Isaac Salas will lead us to the white flag. One final lap around Charlotte. Isaac Salas leads Chapman. As time is running out, the lead is a half a second entering turn number 3. Your small block modified championship feature winner, the 5 of Isaac Salas at Charlotte. Well, it's Isaac Salas, really a dominating performance here, Nicholas.
Yeah, I think he mentioned, I believe it was after the pole shuffle, that he felt like he had to get some retribution for what happened. I think it was last year, a year before, where he was dominant the entire race and then just let the win slip through his hands there at the end. So I definitely think he accomplished his task and definitely dominated the field tonight.
So our top 3 finishers, Salas, Chapman, Lacey, will join us up here in the booth shortly as they will be your podium for our small block modified championship race event here, kicking off our championship night at Charlotte. And really that played out. Long green flag runs involved, some short runs, some caution flags. As we'll throw it over to you, Nicholas, it looks like you have our 3rd place finisher, the 414 of Brennan Lacey.
All right, Brendan, you got a copy?
I got you, man.
So kind of walk us through your race. Did it play out as you expected with the green flag runs and then the cautions in between?
Yeah, I was really impressed with how long a run we got, and I was a big fan of how long of a run we got there for sure. It's just these things in a fixed setup. It's hard to pass, and I wouldn't have got where I got if it wouldn't have collected half that field in that one big wreck. It's just you really can't pass on these things. It's so hard on a fixed setup. So you have to start up front and hope, and we were in a good spot making ground, and then we got set back to, I think, 18th, but getting it back up to 3rd. I was trying to wheel that thing, let me tell you.
Yeah, definitely a really awesome job. So kind of walk us through the line selections tonight. Did the track wear in as you expected it to?
Yeah, early the top came in faster than I really was expecting it to, and I tried to go up there, and, it was hit and miss, some corners, some weren't, and then lucky enough it came around, and that's where we started making hay, and then people came up there, and then it was just, single file for a good 15, 20 laps up there, and then once it kind of settled down and got slicked off, then the bottom came back in. Blake found it first. I wish I would have went down there with him earlier, but he found it and started making up positions. I just hit it too late, but luckily enough on that restart, I knew that, was able to get it down there.
Well, definitely an awesome job here in the 358 feature for the charity event here with Coast to Coast. You got anybody you want to thank for the third place podium finish?
Yeah, big shout out to Built Racing as always. Got to appreciate Goldner and them boys. Got to shout out to my cousin Colby for coming in and watching tonight, and then Ross Velocity Race Designs, you boys for coming on, and Moon and Racing Ninjas for making this thing go back to the front.
Well, congratulations again there.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
That is the third place finisher, Brennan Lacey, now joining us in the booth. Second place finisher, it's the 20 of Blake Chapman. Blake, you made it all the way up there to second. Just getting to that 5 machine and completing the pass was difficult tonight. Kind of walk us through your feature there.
Yeah, we'll start things off with, you don't want to push it too hard. I was just kind of staying in line, trying to find a rhythm a little bit, run in the middle, up high, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to run up high. I just wasn't very good up there. And so I kept it in the middle, and if I hit it right, I was able to kind of keep pace with guys. But with about 20 to go or so, I noticed on a restart it looked like there was a lot of grip down on the bottom. So I'm like, yeah, I think I'll try that, and got around Kurt in just one corner, and I was just happy I was able to put some pressure on Isaac, and he didn't totally run away with it. But catching him in these things, that's a tall task. That's not easy to do, but I'm definitely happy with the second place finish.
So you go from 6th to 2nd here in this one. You're going to start 14th in the big block. Anything you can take away from this race into that one to try to get up there and battle for another win?
Yeah, I didn't think this track was. I thought this track tonight was a lot racier than it has been before when I've raced these modifieds on it. So I'll just be looking everywhere on the tracks, see where's fast, and hopefully charge my way up towards the front.
Well, great run there in that one. We look forward to watching you here in the big blocks. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to, Blake?
Yeah, first my parents and grandparents for watching and supporting, all the boys down at the Krite Sim racing team and the Can-Am racing team. And of course, I got to give a shout out to Galen's Gourmet Popcorn. Head over to their website, use code CART, C-A-R-T at checkout for 15% off some of their delicious popcorn. And I got to thank you guys for putting this on, and the Coast to Coast Racing League for putting up this charity event. It's been a great event, and they do it better than anybody else. So shout out to the Coast to Coast Racing League.
Well, great run, Blake. We'll see if we chat with you again here after the big blocks.
Thanks, Travis.
As Blake Chapman, your second place finisher, we'll now throw it over to Victory Lane. Nicholas, you've got our winner, Isaac Salas.
Mr. Salas, you got a copy?
Yeah, long time no see there, brother.
I know. I think I mentioned earlier, right before we started the interviews, that I felt like you came in tonight and felt like you had something to prove. I remember the last race we were in, you were leading and dominating the field, and then right at the end, I feel like it slipped through your hands. Am I right in thinking that?
In the big blocks.
Okay.
Yeah, I won the three. We're trending in the exact same way at the moment. I won that last one. Last year I won it, the 358s, and then I let the big blocks go. And now here we are again.
I said, hopefully I didn't jinx that by mixing it up, but kind of walk us through your race. You took the lead early and then built a 3-second lead there in the middle of the race, and then the caution come out. Kind of what was going through your head as you kept seeing the cautions come out and burning your lead away.
Yeah, it was brutal, to be entirely honest with you. It was one of the last things that I wanted to see in that first caution. Was brutal, man. Like you said, I knew I had a really good size lead, and yeah, I was like, no, come on. And then after that, it was just kind of like, man, just keeping the nerves in check, because I know, like you had Blake coming up on me. I know Brendan was starting to make a charge. I know Kurt was still there. So it's just when you get into those repetition cautions kind of in the middle to late stages of the race, it gets your heart pumping a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. So kind of walk us through the end of the race. You ran the top the majority of the night, and then, as everybody saw, the top started kind of going away. There at the end, I'm sure you heard Chapman a couple times underneath you. Did the thought to change your line, we noticed there at the end you started moving around on the racetrack. Were you searching for grip, trying to find something a little faster than the top?
Yeah, actually 100% I was searching for sure. I found a really nice line there in 3 and 4 towards the end. That kind of let me keep up my momentum, even running kind of like a slider line. And that really helped because I really didn't want to leave the momentum of 1 and 2 on the high side because it's crazy fast up there. Even with the bottom being dominant, that high side is insane up there. So yeah, just finding a line in 3 and 4 to kind of at least just even the lap time, so that way I can get a little bit, a little more calm and just kind of try to hit my marks instead of having to push it to stay in front.
Absolutely. Well, definitely. Before I let you go, good luck in the big blocks. Pulling for retribution in that race. But you got anybody you want to thank for bringing home the win here in the 358s?
Yeah, a bunch. So all those guys over at Venom Racing, I mean, I can't say enough about them. Dean, the Super Dirt Car Series, Magnum Race Designs, Got Your Six Racing Network, RSN Trackside, Dirt Track Bank. I know they're still a sponsor. Everybody here in Coast to Coast, man. We showed out. I hope everybody's loving this event so far. So it's been a blast to be a part of. Hopefully there's no sad ending for me at the end, but we'll see. Mission 22 and everything that they do for our veterans, man. This is truly what this event is about. So I just can't thank them enough. My Gramps and Top Notch Trucking, I know he's watching, so thanks for cheering me on, Gramps. Thank you guys for the broadcast. I'm pretty excited to go back and watch this. Hopefully I can be excited to watch both races, I guess. But and then yeah, just like thanks to our veterans, thanks to all my friends that are watching and my family. So yeah.
Well, definitely a big congratulations to Isaac Salas, the winner of the 358s here in the Chris Yacklon Memorial Super Dirt Week charity event.
And
Thanks, fellas.
with that, the small block modified division comes to a close. Nicholas, that was a great start to our championship night. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got 100 laps of big block modifieds. But first, we will have our drawing and our winners of raffle prizes. When we come back here to Charlotte, you're watching the Coast to Coast Racing Network.
I am Sergeant Clay Warren. I suffered from PTSD. In 2013, I ended my own life. Now my voice has been brought back to speak to people like me. Know that you're not the only one. Things can get better. You don't have to carry that burden anymore. Speak up now to get the help that you need.
22 veterans end their lives every day. You just heard the reconstructed voice of one of them. Seek help at mission22.com.
Yes, that's why. So we'll just give them a quick brush and then we'll get our stuff on, and then we have like an obstacle course. And so
Why I'm smiling.
you don't know why you're smiling. We always smile. Smiling's the best.
The Mission 22 Equine Program is a riding program for children of veterans. We also serve grandchildren or direct family members of veterans.
It's a lot of fun, and I've always loved horses.
We have private lessons and group lessons, but it's not just riding. Riding lessons, people just think that that's all it is. But we have the opportunity here to really build confidence, to lower stress levels, to give them an outlet and opportunity to spend time doing something healthy and productive. Mission 22 is really based on the foundation of the importance for family. It's why we're supporting families here. So in a time where kids' programs are being canceled left and right, school is shut down, they're not able to be around their friends, being able to have an opportunity where they can just be together and let go of that stress and be around people. Again, honestly, it's just really that simple, being around people. Who would have thought that it was something as simple as that?
That's okay. You want to grab his reins and then I'll have you walk him forward. It's really a special thing to watch these kids come every week and build a partnership and a relationship with their horse. It lets them forget about everything that's going on in life, being able to come here, kind of shut the world out a little bit and have a really stress-free, fun environment.
There's tons of studies that have been done on lowering of cortisol levels of children, and especially with children of veterans, often growing up in a household that can be a more stressful place, to be able to have an outlet where they can be outside, fresh air, horses around them, and just growing in that confidence.
Horses are really unique. They're very intuitive to people. They're very emotionally intelligent, they're very emotional animals, very in tune to people. They have a great way of reading people as well, that they can pick up on if you're feeling nervous or scared or excited. They're very reflective to how you feel, and so it's a great way to kind of check in with yourself and see how you're feeling, because they'll let you know.
When you're riding bareback, it's really important to think about keeping your thighs nice and snug.
Watch your spacing. Remember 1 to 2 horse lengths in between. Nice work. Yep, then you're gonna go through the blue barrels and you can weave through them and you can walk through them.
Before we came to Central Oregon, we were based out of Portland. So we were renting an office in the city, we were having to pay to board horses, and it was getting to be exceptionally expensive. And so what it came down to was an opportunity to have a facility that we can grow programs out, that we could have the equine program on our own property that we can continue to operate during a time that nobody really knew kind of what was happening next. And so having our own facility gave us the freedom to continue serving the families that we care about.
It's so fun to see parents come and talk to each other, and being able to kind of share stories, watch their kids together is a really neat thing, talk about just life in general, having a place to come and to really connect with people.
Obstacles. I really like riding the horse because it's the best thing ever, and it's so exciting.
By supporting families of veterans on this property through the equine program, it really gives us the opportunity to show that importance. So we're not just supporting their kids, but we're supporting their families. They're having a community here, and building that strong family foundation builds a strong veteran. And that is something that we very much believe in, is supporting the family, supporting the veteran, and that cohesiveness together.
Welcome back to the dirt track at Charlotte as our Super Dirt Week charity event marches on. It's the Catalytic Recovery and Recycling Chris Yacklon Memorial. We've got the big block modifieds on the track getting ready to go. Before we get to racing action, though, we have 12 exciting door prizes to give away. They include Valhalla Mobile 4 $25 gift certificates, Young Gun Creations, a free wrap there, Velocity Race Design, a free wrap, Epsilon Sprint Wraps, a free wrap, Raven Graphics, you'll get we've got 2 hero cards up for grabs, ABR Setup Shop, a $30 gift certificate from them, Finish Line Designs, 2 wraps available, and a High Mom Lens 5-pack of action shots. And we will read off those winners, and they are as follows: Jacob Massau, Samuel Bachman, Ed Harris, Kyle Moonen, Alex Pomelu, Anthony Morano, Dan McLaren, Marshall Dugan, Paul Thompson, Bob DeGood, Connor Ross, Harold Klump, and the final one will be Dean Reynolds. So Roger Craig will be contacting you in the coming days on Messenger to determine gift assignments. Of course, thank you to all our sponsors for those exciting prizes. And thank you to all the drivers that were entered to win, and congratulations to those that did win. So with that, Nicholas, we'll switch over to racing action here now. We're back here on the track at Charlotte. We've got the big block modifieds. Isaac Salas just dominated, and he's going to start on the pole. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I want to root for Isaac. Him and I had some good battles back in the day, so definitely want to pull for him. I think he pulls away early and looks to try to close the show with sweeping the night here in the charity event.
Well, we are about set to find out how this one will play out as we get ready for them to grid here at Charlotte. 100 laps in the big blocks. We saw that long green flag run with the small block modifieds. Do you think we see something similar here with the big blocks?
Yeah, I do. The big blocks tend to be a little more caution prone just because of the additional power. They're a little bit harder to drive, especially once the track starts slipping off. You know, with the 358s, you can drive them pretty hard even when the track's slick. But here in the big blocks, you really got to be careful because the car can definitely step out from underneath you.
Well, it looks like they're starting to exit the track there as the warm-ups will conclude. And with that, we're going to move on to our big block modified, the final event here of the 2023 Chris Yacklon Memorial Catalytic Recovery and Recycling Super Dirt Week charity event. So your starting lineup is going to look like this. Starting on the pole, it's your small block winner, Isaac Salas, next to Joseph Grandy. Third, Jeff Sharp alongside Steven Spees. Starting fifth, John Hine next to Jeff Barker. Starting seventh, Brandon Templeton next to Dean Reynolds. And rounding out your front 10, Ryan Beagle and Mark Gilbert. Starting 11th, it's Brennan Lacey next to Brian Lawson. 13th, Logan Wentz alongside Blake Chapman. He finished second in the small block. Starting 15th, it's Sean Green next to Jeffrey Kemper of Gambler Motorsports. 17th, Cody Graham alongside Kelly Wheeler. Rounding out your top 20, it's Stephen Goldner next to the 007 of Samuel Bachman. 21st, it's Randall Dixon next to Kurt Schatzer. 23rd, Alex Pomelu. And 24th, Randy Shreves. Starting 25th, it's Kyle Moonen next to Tanner Purcell. Tanner had a great run in the small block until a late race caution. Luke Hines will start 27th next to Jacob Massau. 29th, Ryan Hunsinger. And 30th, G.J. Boydell. Rounding out the field, it's going to be Aaron Turkey, Joseph Massau, and starting at the rear, Mike Grandy. So they get lined up behind the Stephen King Foundation pace truck. Get ready to go here. And we're about to get back to racing action, Nicholas.
Yeah, you know, I was just sitting here thinking a lot of the guys in this field we actually saw in the 358 race. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see some of the guys that are coming from the back trying to make their way to the front. We saw that in a few cases last race, and, you know, unfortunately not the way that their night wanted to end for a couple of the guys, but there were still some big movers in that 358 race.
Yes, there were. There was even some of them that got stalled out with the couple cautions that we did see. I think of Alex Pomelu. He moved up 15 spots into the top 5. So just because you're starting back there in the 20s doesn't mean there's no chance at a pay window there for you. As we will get ready to go, pace truck pulls on off. Isaac Salas, Joseph Grandy leading us to green here with the big block modifieds. They will exit turn number 4. And the big block modifieds 100 laps is green here at Charlotte. Side by side, they'll head off into turn number 1 for the first time.
Yeah, it looks like Salas is already trying to move up to the top in front of Grandy there. You know, and Grandy's going to try to fight back on the bottom. Thinks wisely of the situation and backs out. Still a lot of laps left in this one.
Saw Templeton back in the field as well. Think the better of forcing something here on lap number 1. With 99 laps to go, you're not going to win it on this lap.
Yeah, but you might try, but there's still a lot of time left in these cars, and it looks like the 3 are actually starting to break away a little bit decently early in this one.
The front 3 are, but Steven Spees all over the back of Isaac as the first caution will come out. Not seeing the cause of it. Looks like Kelly Wheeler may have been involved in that one. And just like the small blocks, lap number 4, we've got our first caution here, Nicholas. So far playing out exactly the same, including Isaac Salas out front.
Yeah, if we learned anything from the last one, you know, just because there's a caution early doesn't mean that we can't get a long green flag run in here. And, you know, I think part of it, too, may be the nerves. You know, this car's got a lot more power, so everybody knows it's a lot longer of a race. So, you know, these guys, it may take them a few laps to settle in.
So they'll get lined back up, ready to go here. Isaac Salas, Steven Spees, and really the front 3 broke away there, Nicholas, but Spees and Grandy were all over the back. They were not letting go of the clutches of that 5 of Salas.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if maybe they were watching the last race and saw kind of what he did to the field there in the 358s, and they said, no, we're not going to let you do that and get away and just ride around and wait for the time to run out.
So Isaac Salas definitely has a target on his back just after what he did in that small block modified. as we get ready to go back to racing action. Side-by-side double file restart. Caution laps do count. Lucky Dogs also involved with the big blocks here. So that Stephen King Foundation pace truck will pull on in. We're about to go back to racing action. It's Isaac Salas, Steven Spies, your front row, as the green flag will wave, and we're back to racing action here at Charlotte.
Yeah, Isaac got a really good jump there. Is able to clear Steven Spies and choose the lane that he wants, wanted a 1 and 2. They are 3 wide there, though, around that 7th, 8th spot.
That's Sharp, Barker, Hine, Reynolds, Templeton all back there in that pack. As their side-by-side are 3 wide throughout the field. The front 4 now start to get single file out front. And Spies all over the back of that 5 again here as we're back to racing action.
Absolutely. You know, we see guys starting to run the middle here in the big blocks, and then a couple of guys are starting to venture up close to that wall. It makes me wonder how long they're going to be. Oh, contact with the leaders.
Over goes Spies. Grandy upside down. Barker involved. It's going to be John Hine coming away with the lead. And we will see who gets scored there. As Spies, Barker, Grandy all involved, including the leader. It looked like Salas may have gotten just a little bit too far sideways where that momentum slowed down in front of traffic.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he got dinged all of the spots. It looks like right now he's settled into 4th, so it'll be interesting to see how they line up once everything settles out.
So we get ready to go back to green as things get shaken here with another caution. As they are still single file, John Hine, your leader, Brandon Templeton 2nd, Sharp 3rd, Salas back to 4th, Barker back to 5th. Joseph Grandy to the rear. Steven Spies is back in 19th. So here early, the front shaken up quite a bit, Nicholas.
Yeah, you know, and we got to go back and think about it too. There's still, 88 laps left. So, you know, yes, it was a little bumpy here in the beginning, but the guys that may have got caught up in that in the beginning, they need to keep their nerves and keep their emotions in check because there's still a lot of laps to go as we come back to green.
So John Hine leads us back to green. He will go flat mat there to take the green flag. Front 4 break away as Templeton Salas on the backside. You've got to think Isaac is hungry to get back up into that lead position.
Yeah, he definitely probably has something to prove now, knowing that, you know, he had the lead and unfortunately due to the iRacing score and it was taken away. So it looks like Templeton there. Oh, we got another caution.
So caution flag again. It looks like Joseph Grandy entered the pits. It also looks like Cody Graham may have had an issue. So we'll take a look at the replay. Oh, and it looks like Bachman in the 27 of green checked up. And brings out our 3rd caution of the night as we work lap number 15. So some cautions here early, Nicholas. Still got about 84 laps to go. If you're back out there or you're in the car in this one, what are you trying to do at this point? Especially as you're trying to get that rhythm settled in.
Yeah, you know, it's really, really difficult when there's caution after caution because, you know what line you want to take, but every time you do that, you show the guys behind you where you want to run. And, you know, John Hine, I know he's really good at this, but it's still something to think about is, the more restarts that he leads, the more cues that Templeton can pick up on to know when he's going to go. So yes, he has an advantage by being the person that starts the green flag, but he could also be the person that gives away his telltale signs to Brandon Templeton. And it looks like we are going to be single file here, which that could mean that we hit lap traffic a lot sooner than we did last race. It looks like there was a couple cars that got jumbled up there on that restart, but the top three make it away clean, and it looks like we've got Lacey and Sharp battling for fourth.
Not the restart they wanted, as the front four off to a rough start. Sharp made contact with Barker. Barker's now settled back in the pack. Hines able to stretch away as the front three have stretched out. Lacey in that fourth spot trying to hold off Jeff Sharp.
Yeah, he did a really good job making that pass on the outside there in 1 and 2. It looks like the majority of the field is single file here as they enter 1, but you got guys that are starting to creep up into those marbles trying to push that cushion up towards the wall.
So single file for the most part. John Hines still leads Brandon Templeton up front. Templeton looking to the outside down the front stretch. As we complete lap number 20, on to 21 we go. Looking to see if we can have that long green flag run here at the first third of this race like we did with the small blocks.
Yeah, it looks like Brandon Templeton got a really good run out of 3 and 4 that time. It actually takes the lead at the line. John Hines trying to battle back on the bottom.
So Isaac Salas, the small block modified winner, watching on from third as Hines tries to battle back on the inside of Brandon Templeton. 22 laps down as we work lap number 23. The front three have broken away.
And it looks like Hahn moved up a little bit there in 1 and 2. I wonder if he's going to follow Brandon Templeton's line here just to see if he can figure out what line he's running.
And now he's got Isaac Salas all over the back of him as he'll move to the high side. He's trying to move up into that second spot as he's trying to charge back up to his starting first spot in first.
Yeah, really good awareness there by Isaac. He got on the brakes a little bit there behind John Hine. Instead of pushing the issue, he entered the corner a little bit faster than John Hine did, but he had to lift getting into turn 3 last lap.
And as he runs in the tire tracks of Hine, he's going to have to look for a different line to try to get past that number 71.
Yeah, we know that line that Templeton and Hine are running is going to be fast, but you can't ride behind him for the whole race as another caution comes out.
Another caution flag waves as we moved on through. Templeton is the leader. Looking as we get sorted out, looking for what may have brought out that caution. Looked like Luke Hines, Mike Grandy involved. And as we sort it out, Steven Spees, Jeff Barker. Spees currently runs 17th. Those were two cars that started up front, Nicholas. They were battling back there in the late teens, trying to make their way back up to the front from that early caution.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate to get caught in a caution like that early, but I guess that's the plus side to having this many laps is now you have a lot of laps left to try to make up the ground and get back on one of those podium spots.
So looking down through the field, Brendan Lacey, he's up 7 spots. He started 11th. He's currently in the 4th spot. Kurt Schatzer's up into the top 10 after starting 22nd. And Alex Pomelu, just like the small block, on his way to the front. He's up 10 spots, started 23rd, now sitting in the 13th position.
Yeah, some of these guys, it makes me wonder if maybe they got into some trouble on night 1 of the event. We see a lot of guys charging really hard through the field. Typically, that's an indication that maybe they didn't have the best nights of racing when they were in the qualifying races. But, making moves, that's definitely, it's really impressive here with this caliber of field.
So they will get set to go back to green. Isaac Salas still sitting in that third spot. Lacey in fourth as Brandon Templeton leads us to green. He'll separate from the field as he heads off into turn number 1 as we work lap number 30 of 100 here at Charlotte.
Yeah, it looks like the entire field got a better restart that time. Looks like Salas is trying to make a move underneath Hine there. He's going to try to slide up between them.
And to complete the pass, he will. As Hine battles back. Oh, contact. Hine goes around. Lacey gets into him. They'll get checked up. I think we stay green. And the caution flag will wave. That wreck started with the second position, Nicholas, but it was until it got back into the teens that it brought out the caution.
Yeah, you know, for a second there, I thought we were going to save it, and that's some really heads-up driving by the field to be able to save it like that. But, you know, it's kind of like we talked about on the first night. Once you get the car going, it's really hard to get the car slowed down when guys are almost stopped on the straightaways in front of you.
So, lined back up we'll get. We're a third of the way through this one. We've had 5 cautions. Your leader is Brandon Templeton. Salas is up to second. Sharp third. Hine fourth. Beagle into the top 5. Don't sleep on that 218, Nicholas. He is up 16 spots, now up to 6th.
Yeah, definitely not sleeping on him. And if I'm being honest, I'm a little partial to his paint scheme too. That's one of the ones I did a few years back, and it's definitely a beautiful car. It's really awesome to see it all these years later, still making waves coming through fields.
You know, John and I always talk about paint schemes in NASCAR that just have significance. But that Schatzer, he's raced that so much, and we've seen it so much here. That's one of the iconic paint schemes here in the Coast to Coast Racing League.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
So here we go, getting back to racing action. Templeton will lead us back to green. A single file restart here as we move on to lap number 35 at Charlotte. We should get spread out around the track here, single file. As you see John Hine looking to the outside of Sharp for third. Great run for Salas down the backstretch.
Yeah, he had to check up a little bit there. He got a really, really good run coming off the corner. It looks like he's trying to hang a little bit lower than Templeton, maybe trying to throw a slider here in 1 and 2 to take the lead back.
He has to let off, and Templeton does as well, as they'll stay side by side down the backstretch into turn number 3. Salas will slide up in front of Templeton. His battle back to the lead is complete as he will take the lead on lap 37.
Yeah, you know, it makes me wonder what Templeton's going to do here. I imagine he'd like to keep him close in the crosshairs, you know, not to let Salas run away with this one, very similarly how he did in the 358.
So he's looking to go 2 for 2 here on Championship Thursday as the caution flag will come out for the 6th time. It looks like Brian Lawson and G.J. Boydell involved. Ooh, and the 68 just slid up across into Lawson, nowhere for GJ to go. So we'll get lined back up, ready to go back to green flag racing action.
Which, you know, Charles, I'm really surprised with how the track is wearing in. There's still a lot of grip in the corners. You know, I think we saw in the 358 race, I feel like the track wore in quite a bit faster. And I know that we talked about it before at the very beginning of the night, but I think maybe the track starting at 10% in the 358 and 0% in the big block, I think maybe playing a factor in that. You know, you can see the top there. There's still so much grip up top for these guys to still be using, and for there to be 40 laps gone of the 100-lap event, I'm really surprised with how the track's kind of wearing in.
It is interesting to see how this track progresses, especially only 40% of the way through this. We've still got over half of this event left. And really, with the cautions, we haven't had that long green flag run where there's been a lot of side-by-side action, especially with the single-file restarts. It'll be interesting to see if this does turn into a multi-lane track where you are able to make some passes and complete some progression to the front. So Isaac Salas will lead us back to green. Green flag waves. Single-file restart here. Working lap number 42 of 100 here in the big block modified division. As Salas has checked out on this, it's his best restart of the night here out front at Charlotte.
Yeah, and it looks like Sharp's trying to make that bottom work there in third. He's got Ryan Beagle right there with him as well. You know, Beagle's trying to make up some ground on that top side, same as Salas and Templeton, and it looks like he's doing it. He's able to pull to the quarter of Sharp.
As Beagle there continues to try to make the pass on Sharp. Sharp now to the inside, Schatzer to the inside as well. John Hine now, he's rebounding nicely as he now moves back into the top 5.
Yes, he does, running right there in the middle line. Sharp has not given up on that bottom line yet, but it looks like they're running a very similar line to what they did in PA, where they're running high in 1 and 2 and then a little bit lower in 3 and 4.
Sharp running the lowest of any of the leaders on both ends of the track. Hine will complete the pass on him. Now Schatzer looking to the outside of Sharp. It looks like that inside line just doesn't have it at this point.
Yeah, you know, it kind of reminds me of the big NASCAR tracks where if you're not in the dominant line, you kind of get hung out to dry and you're just looking for a place to fall back in line and try and get back in the fast groove. As Lacey also pulls past Sharp there.
And our 7th caution flag of the night will wave on lap number 47. This one looks to include Alex Pomeloy. As we look, possibly a little help from Steven Goldner there. Body slam into turn number 4. And really, we talked about it after that first one, Nicholas. Not a lot of hard contact that brought out the cautions. Big blocks, a little bit more difficult with some of the passing, where I think how hard it is to pass is translating into some of the frustrations that end up into some of the cautions.
Yeah, you know, and that one to me looked a little bit like maybe Goldner thought that he was going to go really, really high, and then he ended up running that middle line that the leaders were running, and they just made contact there coming off forward. But you know, I definitely agree. I think one of the earlier cautions too, we saw somebody throw a slider and slide into somebody that was 3 wide on the outside. So I definitely think these guys are still searching the track, trying to find fast lines. But with these cars having a little bit more power, you know, it's more difficult to pass when the track is as tacky as it is. So you have to throw sliders in order to get around guys.
Well, we've made it to the halfway mark. Our small block modified winner is out front. Brandon Templeton and Ryan Beagle are trying to chase him down. You've got Kurt Schatzer up 17 spots into 5th. The storylines here throughout this one with 50% of the laps left. Plenty to talk about here as we get ready to go back to green, Nicholas. Green flag will wave. It's Isaac Salas still out front as we go back to racing action as Charlotte. Templeton looks to the inside. Nothing there as Isaac Salas will pull away. Now Beagle tries to make a run at that 31 of Templeton.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed how much momentum Brandon Templeton lost there trying to run the bottom there in 1 and 2. And rightfully so, he goes back to the top. I think he saw how much Salas pulled away from him there on the backstretch coming back to the green.
Well, Salas continues to lead here as he stretches out that lead. Now Beagle and Templeton side by side. Hine and Schatzer are side by side for the 4th spot. Everyone at this point trying to chase that 5 of Isaac Salas.
Absolutely, you know, and he's doing a really good job of hitting his marks and not making any mistakes. And, you know, the guys behind him, the more that they battle and fight for positions behind Salas, the more that he's able to run his line and pull away even further. So, these guys got to really be careful about how much they're battling as well, because like we said earlier, Salas is going to run his line and pull away from the field if they're not careful.
So Salas has started to pull away like he did with the small block modified. A 7/10 of a second lead here now, as we've got 55 laps in the books this time by. Stephen Goldner, who's someone you brought up earlier in the small block, he's made his way back up into the top 10 now. He currently runs in 8th as we watch Brendan Lacey and others in line really single file up against the wall here about halfway through this one.
Yeah, definitely really good run for Dean Reynolds there as well. Oh, a little bit of contact there in the middle of 3 and 4.
And around goes Lacey. That will be our 8th caution of the night.
So we said it there in the 358 race, but you know the field really should be careful with how much contact they have in this race, because the caution laps are counting, right? So and I know I said it in the 358 race, but the more cautions we have, the less chance these guys have to make it through the field, because with the laps counting, you don't get to race for position, right? You're just riding around behind the pace truck. So, you know, Salas, I'm sure, is loving all the cautions, you know, outside of having to find his rhythm again, because he's just riding around at pace speed, ticking laps off, getting closer to the finish.
Well, we saw that with the small block modified the last 25 laps with a few cautions in there. You're very quickly down to a green-white checkered, and that's your last and final attempt at any success of trying to get that lead. So we will line them back up. They're working lap 59. It's a little awkward with the caution laps counting. Not used to that here in the Coast to Coast Racing League. As we will have 40 laps to go this time by as we get closer and closer going back to green. It's Salas, Templeton, Beagle, Hine, and Schatzer, your top 5. Reynolds, Goldner, Kemper, Sharp, and Gilbert round out the top 10.
And we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on Goldner here as we go back green as well, because, like you said earlier, you know, he made his way from deep in the field, and I think he was actually involved in one of the cautions a few cautions ago. So, you know, it makes me wonder if his car's got any damage and if he's going to be able to continue the charge to the front.
So the pace truck pulls on into the infield. We're about to go back to green. It's Isaac Salas. Green flag waves. Isaac Salas takes us back to green. Templeton in second, Ryan Beagle. Another single file restart here as Schatzer is the first car to jump to the inside.
Yeah, he's been trying to work over Hine the past couple laps, and he was actually pulling to his door right there as the caution came out. Looks like Reynolds checked up there in 3 and 4, almost making contact with Schatzer.
You can see them scraping that outside wall, as the outside line is the preferred line as of right now, as most of the field runs up there. You can see back to Schatzer, though, some side-by-side racing as Schatzer continues to try to work that 71 of John Hine.
Yeah, it looks like John got into the wall there a little bit in 1 and 2, and that definitely kills your momentum. And it's really nerve-wracking in the car, too, because tapping it with the back end of the car won't really cause too much trouble, but if it pulls the nose of the car into the wall, it can definitely end your night really quickly.
See Beagle getting into that wall as well. He runs in third up there ahead of Hine. You go back to Schatzer now in 5th. He's trying to hold off Dean Reynolds and Stephen Goldner. Goldner using that inside line as he'll slide up. They'll be 3 wide. Oh, they get together. Schatzer around. They'll stay green.
Yeah, that was a really good save there by Schatzer. You know, really hard racing 3 wide on the front stretch, and the track definitely gets an error on the straightaway, so good job by all those guys keeping it straight.
Very quickly, we're down to 34 laps to go here in this 100-lap feature event as the caution flag will wave for the 9th time. Looks like Blake Chapman involved in this latest one, as he finished 2nd in our small block modified as they got checked up in front of him.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to avoid the cars that checked up in front of him, and there was just cars behind him, and when he moved down, they just made contact, all trying to avoid the caution.
So you talked about how those caution laps are not going to help you get to the front. By the time we go back to green, we'll be under 30 laps to go now with this 100-lap feature event.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to, when we're interviewing the top three, we'll have to ask them their opinion on the cautions, and the caution laps counting because, yes, it's a 100-lap feature and that is a long race, but so far this time we've had 9 cautions, so we've ran quite a few laps under caution, so there's not as many laps to run, so we'll have to see what the top three think about the caution laps counting.
So our Chris Yacklon Memorial, presented by Catalytic Recovery and Recycling, marches on. Of course, thank you to everyone who's participated. Great car counts this week. And a reminder, the Coast to Coast Racing League continues on next week. Make sure you tune in for all that great racing action. So single file, we're going to have 30 laps to go next time by. As Isaac Salas brings us back to green. Single file all around the inside as they exit turn number 4. Great restart for Salas as we're back to racing action here at Charlotte.
Yeah, it looks like Kurt Schatzer is definitely on the bottom in 1 and 2, still trying to make that bottom work to get back around Dean Reynolds after that contact on the straightaway.
So back to action we go as Beagle tried to make that inside line work on the inside of Templeton. He'll stick as they pull even down the backstretch and head off into turn number 3.
Yeah, it looks like Beagle gets a really good run coming out of turn 2, but there's not a whole lot of grip getting into turn 3. So we'll see what he does here, and he leaves him room at the top. Templeton still to his outside.
So you can see Salas is separated from the field. You got to go back to that second place battle. Beagle, Templeton, Hine now. Reynolds has settled into that 4th spot. Bachman is battling for a spot inside the top 10 there, currently held by Gilbert and Sharp, as that's one of the tight battles out here on the track currently.
Yeah, interesting to note, Sharp looks like he's running right through the slick there.
He's got Bachman and Gilbert to his outside. As this time by, we'll have 25 laps to go as the caution flag waves. It looks like it's for G.J. Boydell. Oh, and it looks like Hine and him get together. And with that, we talked about it, Nicholas, all these caution flags. Quickly, we're going to be down to about 20 laps to go.
Yeah, almost to a normal feature length, maybe a little bit less. But if I'm Isaac Salas, I'm really enjoying all the cautions. Yes, it breaks your momentum, but riding around under caution and the caution laps counting is a really good thing for the leader, and when we have really long green flag runs, you kind of lose sight of what the fast line might be, but when you run 2 or 3 laps and have a caution and then run 2 or 3 laps again, nobody really gets in the rhythm and is able to search the racetrack to try to find a faster line than what the leader's running.
So we get ready to go back to green. Single file again. Isaac Salas continues to lead, and if there's anyone that's happy for some caution flags, it's got to be Isaac Salas.
Yeah, he did a lot of work there in that 358 race, so I'm sure he's using these caution laps to catch his breath and try to keep his nerves under control as he tries to pull off the sweep here in the charity event for Coast to Coast.
So we get ready to go to green flag racing here. Isaac Salas out front, 24. It'll be 23 laps to go when we go back to green. Great start again by Salas as he breaks away from Ryan Beagle. Templeton 3rd, Hine 4th. Schatzer, your top 5.
Yeah, it looks like Salas got a really good jump there on Ryan Beagle. And, knowing Beagle, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe here in about 10 or so laps he starts going to the bottom and trying to make that bottom work. We saw in the last race that the bottom actually came back in late race, so that definitely plays to Ryan Beagle's advantage.
Schatzer trying to work that inside of Hine. GJ Boydell, the lap car, or the tail end of the field, just up ahead of the leaders. As Schatzer and Hine continue to battle. Salas, Beagle gets into the wall. That allows Salas to stretch his lead out almost to a second.
Yeah, and that also allows Templeton to reel Beagle back in. They battled really good that last green flag run that we had.
So 20 laps to go. As Ryan Beagle in that second spot, he'll make contact with the wall again as now Templeton makes a move to the inside for second.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom may start to be coming back in. It looks like Beagle's going to have a really good run coming off forward to clear Templeton.
So he will clear there. Now John Hine and Schatzer continue to battle. Schatzer's moved in front of that 71 as John gets into the wall. And there's that 30 of Stephen Goldner. We saw him come on late in that small block. He's doing it again here with the big block.
Yeah, I think it might only take one or two more mistakes from John Hine before Goldner's able to make a move. It looks like he gets into the wall there. Him and Dean Reynolds are side by side.
And they'll be 3 wide almost going into turn number 3. There they go. John Hine up against the wall. Goldner will clear him. He'll slide up in front of him right at the start-finish line as now John Hine has Dean Reynolds all over the back of him.
Yeah, it looks like John wanted to throw a slider there in 1 and 2, but thought better of it and lifted, allowing Goldner to have the outside coming off turn 2.
Up ahead of him, Schatzer has now moved alongside Templeton. He'll take over the 3rd spot as the caution flag waves with 16 laps to go.
It'd be interesting to see if Schatzer is able to get scored in 3rd there or if it gives it back to Templeton.
So we'll watch the 111 of Dixon. It looks like Lacey gets into the rear of him. Around they go, collecting others. And it looks like they've given Schatzer that 3rd spot.
He's really made some moves. I think he started that last restart, in 5th. So John Hine, definitely the big loser there. He ended up losing 3 spots under that green flag run. Templeton losing 1, Schatzer gaining 3, and I think Goldner gaining 2.
Well, I'm looking at it, you've got Schatzer in 3rd. He started 22nd. You've got Goldner up to 5th. He started 19th. 2 guys that have just chipped away throughout this 11 caution-filled feature event.
And, I don't think they're done. We've got 14 laps to go, probably coming back to green with 12 or 13 laps left. There's still enough time to make a decent charge from the top 5 up to try to challenge for the win.
So we will see what happens here as the racing definitely intensified. As we will go back to green, it looks like we're going to have a dozen laps to go. And I'm expecting the intensity, especially up front, to only increase here for these final dozen.
Yeah, the tension is definitely high as the laps start to wind down. The track starts to wear in a little bit more. These restarts can really help or hurt you.
So here we go. Green flag will wave. Isaac Salas takes us back to green. Single file restart here at Charlotte. Schatzer to the inside. He's trying to get alongside Ryan Beagle for 2nd. As Stephen Goldner's in the back, he's in 5th. Trying to make ground on those front 4. Caution flag waves for the 12th time. So just like that, Nicholas, another caution flag, which is just going to tick away these laps here remaining.
Yeah, we'll probably be around 8 laps to go when we go back green.
So we will have less than 10 when we go back to racing action. As we've had 12 cautions here thus far. The front 5 remain as they did. Beagle second, Schatzer third, Templeton and Goldner your top 5. Good run for Samuel Bachman. He's up 13 spots to the 7th spot here late. It looks like the lights are off that pace car, so we're getting ready to go back to green this time by. So we'll have 8 laps to go when Isaac Salas takes the green flag here at Charlotte. Makes his way around. Green flag will wave. Isaac Salas leads us back to green. 8 laps to go as Beagle now jumps to the inside to protect it from Schatzer. Schatzer will cross it over, try to get some of that outside momentum, but Beagle will hold on to that second spot as they head off into turn number 3.
Yeah, you know, one thing I noticed this last restart as well is that Salas is actually changing his restart zone and changing the line in which he's making the field go through before they come back to green. And so far, it's playing to his advantage. It looks like Schatzer and Beagle are definitely battling hard there for second.
They're battling for second. Templeton watches on from 4th. He's wanting to get up and add his name to that battle as well. As they get it sorted out, Isaac Salas continues to lead halfway down the backstretch. It's 6 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like Salas is able to get a little bit of breathing room there back to Beagle. I wonder if Beagle and Schatzer are starting to search around the track, trying to close that gap back to Salas.
Great run for Schatzer through 1 and 2. He'll pull up alongside Beagle as he's got to let go. He'll fall back in line down the backstretch as they continue to chase down Salas. A half a second lead for Salas as we've got 4 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like Salas might be searching around the racetrack as well. He ran the bottom of the racetrack all the way around that last time. It looks like they've closed the gap in as Beagle closes to the rear bumper of Salas.
The lead's down to 0.2 of a second as they come out of 4. 3 laps to go now as the front 3 have broken away. It's Ryan Beagle and Kurt Schatzer trying to chase down Isaac Salas. Schatzer will make a power move for second through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looked like a really good line there on the bottom as he's on the bottom there in 3 and 4 to see if he can clear Ryan Beagle coming off turn 4.
He will clear him at the line that separates from Isaac Salas, who now has a lead on the next 2. Currently 0.4 of a second lead as now Schatzer turns his attention away from Beagle and onto that 5 as the white flag waves this time by.
Yeah, will he run out of time or will he make a last-ditch effort here in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4?
Beagle up into the wall in 1 and 2. Schatzer trying to chase down Isaac Salas. As Isaac Salas goes through 3 and 4, he will sweep Championship Thursday. He will win the big block as Charlotte. Schatzer second, Templeton third. Ryan Beagle will end up 4th. But it will be Isaac Salas sweeping the night. Big block and small block champion of the Chris Yacklon Memorial this year at Charlotte. As they get parked on the front stretch, we'll have the top 3 podium finishers joining us up here in the booth. And we had a few more cautions that big block, but the ending definitely did not disappoint, Nicholas.
No, the ending definitely made up for it. You know, there's a lot of action there in the last 5 laps. A lot of lane changes, a lot of aggressive moves to make advancements there at the end. It's a really good ending to the event.
So with that, we will throw it over to you, Nicholas. You've got our 3rd place finisher, Brandon Templeton.
Brandon,
I got you. Yep.
So, tell us about your night. You were running 4th there, I believe, under that last restart. Kind of what was going through your mind as you saw the guys ahead of you battling pretty hard?
I was thinking I'd be pretty darn happy to finish 4th. after the night I've had, and I didn't really think I'd be here at all tonight. I watched a couple of my daughter's events and was able to. Thank God it was a close track meet. I drove separate and bailed out. So got here, got to represent and run for Mission 22 for a great cause, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, I definitely think you showed out here, bringing home third in the big blocks. Kind of what was going through your mind when you saw Beagle maybe make a little bit of contact there with the outside wall in 1 and 2 on the last lap?
Well, I thought, there was always a chance. I didn't really know. When I went inside of him, I didn't know he got in the wall. But then, I saw him flash across my mirror, and I looked down at my relative and knew I could clear up to the wall. So, just thankful to bring it home for third, and we'll take it.
Well, definitely congratulations on the great run here to end the night for the Chris Yacklon Memorial Race here with Coast to Coast. You got anybody you want to thank for that third place finish on the podium?
Yeah, I got to thank, or got a shout out to Mission 22 for everything, and Cadillac Recovery. Thanks for stepping up and doing all this, Dirt Car, Dean, everybody that's involved with the league. Thanks to Jay with the Dirt Track Bank, supporting us, everything we do on this crazy sim racing stuff. Got Your Six Racing Network, Hammer Down Racing, Joe, Kurt, and Brian. It was awesome racing with Kurt there in that race. We don't always get to race side by side up front. Thanks to Extreme Images, Maley's Bakery, Big C's Lawn Care. Everybody watching at home, thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and thanks for, everyone. Thanks.
All right, that is your third place finisher here in the big blocks. That is Brandon Templeton.
Now joining us up in the booth, that's our second place finisher, Kurt Schatzer. Kurt, you went from 22nd to 20 or to second, so in an interesting race for you. Walk us through that battle all the way up to the front.
Yeah, man, it was a good race. I mean, I had a lot of fun. Starting in the back there, I had to make a long way up through there, just trying to go where guys wasn't and taking advantage of some stack ups and leaving the holes open, shooting through them quick and picking up a few spots before yellow comes out. And yeah, just doing what I could to get up through there. It was a long race.
Was there anything once you got up there to Isaac, you had some green flag or some restarts to at least reset the field. Was there anything you could have done to try to get past him for the win?
Well, I mean, the track was pretty slick by then. I mean, I feel like we were all kind of running the same line. We were kind of going in with a half shallow slider and trying to pick up the tack, and it was whether somebody would miss the tack or not, and allowed you to get up on them. I think that's what happened to my teammate there, Templeton, when it allowed me to get by him. But yeah, just getting lucky and just managing throttle control. I mean, that was just trying to race my own car and not get caught up trying to race anybody, just trying to keep the wheels under me.
Well, it was a lot of fun watching you race up to the front. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Jay with Dirt Track Bank. They do a lot to help racers all around the country. They help us, our team. Friday Night Lights League we got going on. The Got Your Six Racing Network with Joe Halter over there with, Friday Night Lights, and the race team there, Hammer Down Racing with Brandon Templeton and Brian Dickens and Joe Halter. And I want to thank everybody at the league for coming out, and Coast to Coast, Roger giving us a place to race, Mission 22 and the charity. And yeah, it was a long race. I'm ready to get a drink.
Well, congratulations, Kurt. It was a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you again here soon.
Thank you.
Now we'll throw it over to Victory Lane. Nicholas, you have our winner again. It's Isaac Salas.
Mr. Slide Job
Yeah.
completed the sweep. How does it feel?
It's pretty good, man. It feels like redemption from last time, to be honest with you.
So I see that you followed your own advice earlier in the week. You mentioned that you had to slow down on the beers to make sure that you could make it through both races, and it appears that you did so. You were able to sweep both races tonight and kind of get redemption, like you said, on last year. Kind of walk us through your night. It kind of started off a little bit rough with some contact there in the early race. Kind of walk us through your race and what was going through your mind with that.
Yeah, well, definitely cut out the beer, man. I only drank water today. So that should say something. I don't know. But for the racing, man, I don't know. That track state for me was not my friend, and I'm pretty sure Steven was probably half a tenth faster than me in those early laps. but I was just kind of in the way for him probably, and I think he just got impatient and just like, all right, let's go, get out of the way, and then it ended up turning into a whole lot more than it probably should have. But yeah, no, it was good. I mean, it happens, part of racing, I guess. But yeah, I was behind the eight ball after that. I think I was fourth, fifth, somewhere in there. Um, and yeah, I just tried to be really patient and kind of set these guys up, and um, I don't know, I somehow got around them. But after that, man, it was just hit your marks because like I said last race, man, I got Beagle behind me, I got BT, I got Kurt again. Like, I mean, man, it's just hard to keep your emotions in check, and when you actually do, it feels pretty awesome.
Well, definitely speaking about emotions there, this race here in the big blocks had quite a few more cautions, and we kind of debated it a little bit here in the booth, but kind of what was going through your mind after caution after caution and watching those laps tick down, just riding around behind the pace car.
I liked it, to be honest with you. It would help with the track not changing so much, man. When you run, like, if you get some big green flag runs, you'll be running the high side, and you just be cruising along, hitting your marks, not thinking anything of it, and there's a guy that's passing you on the bottom without you even realizing. You're like, well, hold on, huh? What happened here? And then so it's kind of nice to have some cautions, but I mean, I wouldn't want to have a caution-filled race, I guess. I'd love to be actually able to race. But yeah, man, I mean, we still put up some amazing racing in it from what I had seen, what I had been a part of too, I guess. But yeah, man, it's a part of it. A little bit extra horsepower kind of makes it a little less stable.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you definitely put on a show here, charging back through the field after some early contact. You got anybody you want to thank for sweeping the night here in the Chris Yacklon Memorial Super Dirt Week with Coast to Coast?
Yeah, well, let's start with the big one then, man. Let's Mission 22 and everything that they do for our veterans. Like, I try to incorporate them in every single interview I do, but like they do, it's an amazing cause. Like, I can't even put it into words for most people. Um and just like them being a part of this memorial for Chris. It just they're so amazing. But yeah, for other than that, man, just thanks to all those guys at Venom that support the hell out of me. They cheer me on, and they're having a terrible freaking race, and they're still cheering me on. So thanks to those guys. Dean, the Super Dirt Car Series, Magnum Race Designs, Got Your Six Racing Network, RSN Trackside, Dirt Track Bank, Sim Track Broadcasting, Top Notch Trucking, and my Gramps. I'm glad I got to do the sweep for my Gramps. Thank you guys for the broadcast again. Like I said earlier, I'm thrilled to come back and watch. Um, and yeah, just everybody here at Coast to Coast, the admins, um, everybody that's racing it. Thank you all of the outside guys too that weren't in the league that just kind of wanted to come and run and support a good cause. And then yeah, just thanks to our veterans. Thanks to my friends and family that are watching that are blowing up my phone. I just can't. It just keeps buzzing. So yeah, man. Just thanks to everybody.
Well, definitely congratulations. That is your winner for the 358 and the big block here, closing out the event for the Super Dirt Week.
And with that, Nicholas, Super Dirt Week comes to a close. Two exciting races, 175 laps here at the dirt track at Charlotte. We head out of here with some great racing. Any final words looking back on the week of racing we've had here, Nicholas?
Yeah, definitely. I've been away from the sim stuff for probably close to a year now, and I was lucky enough for Roger to message me, ask me if I wanted to come back and make a special appearance and come out to support this great cause that Coast to Coast puts on every year. And I think we left with some good racing for a great cause with a lot of memories, and I definitely look forward to the next event that Coast to Coast puts together.
Well, it was a great event to be a part of. We're thankful for you joining us here all week long. You've been watching the Coast to Coast Racing Network Chris Yacklon Memorial presented by Catalytic Recovery and Recycling for the Super Dirt Car Week charity event. Stay tuned the rest of the week ahead for Coast to Coast Racing League action. This has been Extreme eSpeed TV on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We thank you for tuning in and look forward to seeing you at a track soon.
This copyrighted broadcast of Extreme eSpeed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme eSpeed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.